The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday from 7 to 8 p.m. on WAC 90.1 FM. The Living Room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is currently 1 minute past 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked onto the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
First and foremost, let's kick it off as we always do. Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we are not just talking about the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, the Tainos and the Kalinagos, because we all know, accept, reiterate, say it with chest, that Columbus lied. But also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, where the P this week stands for
protectors, mate, protectors.
I thought it would be perverts.
No. I can't call Tony P that, but we're saying the P in Tony P stands for protector. You understand?
And that protector needs to protect them from the pervert.
Yeah, correct is right. I thought about it and I realized, let me not do Tony that. Tony does that. Let me not do Tony that.
Right? We'll explain why we had so many P's just now. But this is the living room with yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I remind you that culture is my code, alongside my bro with no furrow but a lot of flow.
Ricardo Mitchell is social stage on the global stage.
How global stage can they do this?
Yeah, I don't know.
That made absolutely no sense.
Aaron, I want coffee, right? Get my ease up.
You know what? You know what else made no sense this weekend?
What's that, sir?
The amount of red cards Fulham getting that Man U game.
Oh, they had football this weekend?
You sound like a man that's trying to be very calm about an excellent victory on Sunday.
What are you talking about, babe? The fact that Barcelona beat Real Madrid 100 times in the Clásicos? Nah, man.
I was actually going to say the fact that Barcelona probably now has an unassailable lead in La Liga.
Hey, 12 points, brother, man. 12 points. So 12 games remaining. Who knows what could happen?
Oh, okay, yeah, right. They still have the chance to bottle it, like what West Indies tried to do on Saturday in the game, but they did end up beating South Africa. Right. Also, congratulations to Manchester United fans on a victory yesterday and reaching the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Also, congratulations to all the cyclists that would have participated at the meet on Saturday in Skinner Park, in the new Skinner Park. Right? Guys, really quickly, that was just the spotlight, if you want to call it that. I know that's a feature that we have on WAC, but we sometimes do our own sports spotlight here inside the living room. But to wipe our feet and hang our hats, we must hang our hats on now the 7th president of Trinidad and Tobago. Right? Sure. And I looked at the inauguration yesterday. No big glass walls like what we just see for the inauguration of an American president, but I must say and commend the armed forces on the display that they put on as well.
I want to acknowledge Warish being a significant part of the Southerners choir in the performance.
I thought we would have talked about that right before we bring them in, but all right.
You know, we don't have much time to do any of those things, you know, so we had to get in where we could get in. All right. I want to recognize the new President Christine Kangaloo. I'm excited. I hope to see beautiful things coming out of her tenure.
Did you listen to her speech?
Not yet. I'm going to as soon as I get a chance.
because everything is available online. So I think you just have to go back on TTT's YouTube page and you'll be able to pull back. It was a very well-penned speech. In terms of...
I just want to point out that I've heard well-penned speeches before and ended up horribly disappointed. But let me leave that where it is. And as you say, things available online, you could also catch the Living Room episodes on DJ Aaron 868 YouTube channel after they've aired live on WAC 90.1 FM.
This is probably the first time I'm ever going to do this. I would like to hang my hat on myself. I was featured recently on Soca to Soca's website for the Tribute 30 mixes. It was featured as a musical tribute. So,
hey, congratulations, sir.
Yes, you all could go check that out.
You know how proud I am of you for being able to recognize and confidently state that you've done something that you're proud of. Right?
But to wipe my feet, I want to wipe my feet on all those persons that continuously choose to litter.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, Sunday, I went to Toko. That was a drive. Anyhow, the amount of people I see pelting thing out the car when I was driving to Toko. I can't remember all the license plates, even though I real good with numbers. And then he'll complain about how up the flood and all kind of thing and the cargo. Brother man, don't be throwing nothing out your car again.
Tisk.
Anyway.
Yeah, I want to hang my hat and wipe my feet very quickly. First and foremost, I want to wipe my feet. I want to wipe my feet on all them perverts out here, the predators among us. I want to wipe my feet. I want to wash the mat. First, I want to wipe my foot so hard on this because this is I can't believe that this is our reality. This is the world. This is the future that we was looking forward to. I want to hang my hat to the young lady who wrote the article with the Express investigation, Kimmery Rodriguez. On the 12th of March, she wrote an article based on an investigation that they did where the Express used AI, artificial intelligence, to generate a fake profile of a 15-year-old called Selena Ali. And upon this article going live, it was the profile going live, it was inundated with approaches from 450 something people. She had 451 friends by the next day, and dozens of inappropriate requests and messages, including unsolicited pictures and pornographic pictures and video. Right? I believe that the government of Trinidad and Tobago and the responsible entities are looking into how they could follow up with prosecution based on some of these things, because online grooming is sexual abuse. I just putting it out there, gentlemen. Right? So we going to have a conversation on that, inspired by the outrage of one Mr. Franz, who asked that we have a conversation on it because we have to hold each other accountable as men and start investigating what we could do about this scourge, this loathsome element of our society. Right, so that's the direction that we head in today.
So now we turn it over to the recently concluded performance at the inauguration of our president, for Riche, as they do their ever so present and melodic introduction in the living room.
Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room. Welcome to the living room.
As mentioned before, we have with us a resident of the living room right now. You might recognize him from Aaron's favorite segment, What the Franz. And
No, you said it wrong.
Say that. You go ahead, Aaron.
You may recognize him from my favorite segment. It's called WTF. What the Franz? Mr. Franz Jalizo. Yeah, the stress on the WTF.
Glad to have you with us, Franz. As far as I'm concerned, you are our accountability expert, you know. So I'm glad to have you here with us.
Me?
I thought I used to call it as I see it, but you're trumping on that one. Yeah, so
Well, I'm just trying to serve the people.
Well, serve the people some what it is you brought to me, because you messaged with some righteous indignation a couple of days ago and said that what you have to say about this, you're not going to be able to do in 90 seconds.
Yeah, well, I mean, brother, the amount of things we could talk about with that article about child predation in Trinidad. Now, the first thing is, I don't think anybody could say they were surprised by an article like that. I mean, kudos to the Express for doing the investigation and for, you know, shining a light on something like this. But a whole TV industry exists on this topic in the States, so something like this is known. There are child predators out there. But surprised or not, it just had me blue vex, like every right-minded human should be, to know that the second a teenage girl opens up a public profile on social media, she is inundated with not just propositions, but videos and pictures and all manner of grossness. So yeah, honestly, that was a real knee-jerk text message I sent you that day, just out of frustration and anger. And then I realized, I kind of thought about it a minute after, and like, what do you say to men like that? Because part of what I started doing on Facebook some years ago with the big man thing is I would be talking to men about how to be better men. But what do you say to men like that? Yeah. It's not rhetorical. Like, what do you say to men like that? There's nothing you can say. So the angle I thought we could start with today, because I know you have a series of discussions around this topic planned, is to talk to younger men before they become men like that. And because we need to mentor a lot of these lost young men before they become these lost older men, because there are few more dangerous things in this world than a lost, broken man, because they are capable of incalculable harm to themselves, to society, to young women. So I feel like that's where we could all start this conversation.
I agree. And while the impacts aren't incalculable, they are definitely not intangible.
No, they're very tangible.
Women have to navigate real life, face-to-face, in-person experiences similar to what the Express identified every day. So you're right, we do want to have a series of conversations.
Every day.
It's not just about us trying to hold men accountable or even to encourage and educate younger men to not become those men. But we're definitely going to take a position where the women can use the platform to speak for themselves, because we're not going to attempt to say what we believe their experience will be. That is not our role.
Of course
here.
Not, no.
Our role here is to have a conversation about some responsibility and accountability from the positions that we are in. Right. So,
correct.
Mr. Williams, when I sent you the article to make sure everybody was on the same page, you responded by referring to it as disturbing.
That was the politically correct term, but yes.
Yeah. So help me here. What about it disturbed you?
One, to know that within minutes of a profile being created, that the person was met. Well, I shouldn't say the person, but you know what I mean when I say that. For those of you who have not seen the article, first and foremost, Ricardo, I think you should splash the picture of that article somewhere so that persons will have a sense of what we are talking about.
Yeah.
Firstly, to know that within a matter of moments of a profile being created, that profile was met with messages, right? So my first question to that struck me just off the bat was, how did know that profile get created?
That is a good point. It means that the algorithm has been
the algorithm rhythming. Right? That was my first thought, because I would join TikTok now and not receive a friend request or a follow request for however long. But that profile just all of a sudden people just knew. And even after it was taken down, persons were still messaging the profile, which was even more alarming. And you can see from the screenshots on the article that the answers were so generic. Yeah, I's 15. Nothing to say anything going into detail, but yet still persons were delving into conversation.
Right. So it's not that the responses were encouraging the exchange. Yes. Right?
No, there was no level of entrapment or anything. No encouragement, nothing. These fellas just dove in.
And then to see and hear, well, I can't say see and hear, but to read that, I don't even know how to politely or put that across, but pictures and videos were sent willingly.
Unsolicited. Yeah. So you are disturbed, and I'm using that word in particular because a lot of us have emotional responses to these things, but I want to look at what might be a psychological position. Were you disturbed that these men will continuously and very directly, even aggressively, right, approaching this presumed young woman? Did that disturb you? Did it surprise you? Is it that there are so many men amongst us who willingly and aggressively pursue this type of scenario and situation?
If I could go before Franz on this one, I am not in any way surprised. Because if we take it back, Ricardo, to when we were in our teens, or early teens, like Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and we would have been traveling home, and you would have seen the maxi touts of yesteryear suiting the young ladies in school uniform. Or, girl, let me drop you home, or whatever the case may be, whatever pickup line they might have chosen to utilize on that given day. I'm in no way surprised, because this is behavior that has been part of our day-to-day life for my teenage years to current. So I'm not surprised, because it's been around.
So, Franz, do you think this is just the current iteration, the current manifestation of a mindset that already exists within our community?
It's been around, as Aaron is saying. I mean, as long as we traveling, we know maxi men been hitting on schoolgirls. To the point where it's cliches. It was a joke back in my day, is what the girls used to have to do with the maxi men to sit up front kind of nonsense. And it's only when you grow up you realize how bloody disgusting even the thought of that is, and how pathetic these men are. And this is one of the things that I was telling you. I had a lot to say, but wasn't sure how to say it. One, on local radio, because you can't use certain language.
On radio, two, that's radio.
Like, I try to keep the things I say in a positive vein, positivity and uplifting, and sending people up. But it's hard not to just call these men what they are, a bunch of pathetic sad men. And it's been going on forever.
Yeah. I am disturbed by it, but I'm also disappointed by the pseudo alarm that we have presented, because these are gentlemen who didn't manifest spontaneously. These are the people in and around our social circles. These are the people that we have an idea which one of our partners might be inclined in those directions, or who seeks who has a perverse joy in some of his tales of conquest and that type of thing. We have an idea of who the potential predators are within our spaces, even if it's the person at work that you try to avoid, because they kind of always on the line with a certain kind of jokes or a kind of commentary. Right? Who do we think these men are? Who do we think they are? And it's not just, let's say, from the 80s and 90s era of the touts and conductors and taxi and maxi drivers, etc. a number of these gentlemen exist in shirt and tie. They exist in offices with influence. Right? So the coercion that we see going on, not just coming from a place of sexual interest, a lot of it is the power dynamic and the authority that they might hold that they could use to lure and bait for the attention and the kind of control that they would seek to have over relationships that they may not have in other relationships in their lives. So it's not just
correct, and that's one of the conversations to have around this topic, because it's not just preying on teenage girls, because that's one type of power dynamic, right? You're an adult, yet there's a certain power dynamic with children, and that's what these kids are. These teenage girls are. They are children. So that's one power dynamic. The other one, as you were talking about, is in the workplace. So it might not be a child they're preying on, but if the power dynamic is wildly in your favor, then you are preying on that person. If you're a supervisor, if you're a manager, and a junior staff member who might be in their teens, fresh out of school, then that is, I mean, how many levels of power dynamic abuse is that?
Yeah. So
teenagers plus your junior. So, you know, there's so many ways. You were talking, I mean, even just suiting is, so as we talk about suiting, a lot of fellas, you'll talk to them and they'll say, yeah, but it's a compliment. It's not. I remember sitting in traffic and there was this lady who was dressed for work, walking along the pavement, and she passed this really tall guy who was also dressed for work. He was in coveralls, so I assume he was going offshore or something. Really tall fella. He looked like he might have been about 6'5". Not big and broad, but 6'5" tall guy. This woman might have been about 5'2", 5'3". All he did was look at this woman, dressed very professionally, and I saw the woman shrink under the weight of his gaze. He didn't seem to say anything to her. I didn't see the lips pursed to say he was suiting her or anything, but he just stared at this woman while she walked past him, and then well after she passed. And the threat that she perceived just in this man's gaze made me so angry. So the unwanted attention is, there's a threat there, because if a woman watch me head to toe as I walk by, I feel no threat. If a woman grab my backside in a party, I feel no threat. I laugh. And that's another thing men get mistaken about, is because when it happens to us, it's a joke. And, you know, we might feel good because it's a compliment to us. We take it as a compliment. Women take it as a threat, as harassment. So there's so many levels to deal with this topic. And it's a matter of where to begin and how do you start talking to the fellas who have been doing this for so long that they will immediately slide in some little girl's DMs the second she gets a profile on Facebook.
I love the use of the word abuse earlier, because we have to call it as it is. Unsolicited attention, unsolicited approach, or even solicited approach with a minor is child sexual abuse.
It is abuse.
Right? It is abuse. Right? Literally, you could show someone a picture and that qualifies as sexual abuse. That is, let me draw the line there one time. There's nothing harmless about approaching a minor or someone who is in a considerably lower dynamic within all your, a lower station in all your power dynamic, right? There's nothing harmless about it, because Franz, you're right. If I cut into the club or a party and I get a little small touch or a small squeeze as a woman passing, or she makes a comment, I don't feel threatened by what she did, because there's still an established power dynamic. I might physically be stronger than you, right? Or I might never have been subjected to the scenarios that would insert fear into that equation.
That's the other thing about it, yeah.
Right? So these women have been subjected to scenarios that prey on fear, whether actual or implied. So it is already an abusive scenario when you unwittingly compliment or give a woman the type of attention that she does not want from you. Because even if that particular scenario did not offend, it implies, or it is in a context of other scenarios where power dynamics, where feeling unsafe, where feeling threatened or abused or manipulated or coerced exist. Because when she walks past you on the street, she then goes into perhaps an office building or a retail, and she has to deal with people who are going to continue that behavior long after you have gone. Right? We all know the stories coming up about the new young girl in the office, or the OJTs or the temps and that type of thing. Or we know the guys who pay a particular attention to these new recruits and these junior employees, etc. Right? So we have to look at the fact that while we as men might not find anything wrong with it, we are not on that end of the equation when it comes to our difference in power.
You mean when it's done to us, that we don't find anything wrong with it?
We don't find anything wrong with it because we don't have the context that they may have. Well, not even may have. Right. So I think a good place to start is, one, fellas, we have to recognize it is a problem. It is not harmless. And whether I didn't mean anything by it, it does not mean that I don't represent the type of situation that makes a woman uncomfortable. So I have to be mindful of, sometimes I'm walking down the road and I see an attractive young lady, and I have to reprogram myself to mind my business. No complimentary gazes, no looking back to see, well, what I didn't see from in front. I'm like, Ricardo, one foot in front of the other, please, sir, and mind your business. If that young lady is looking good today, it is not in my place to remind her of such, because she has nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
And I mind my business. So,
but if we as men recognize that things like that make women uncomfortable, the long gazes, the darling good morning, like there's ways to say good morning without being lecherous. You know what I mean? You don't have to drag out the morning and the darling good morning, and that's enough. And you'll get the smile that you want and the good morning that you want, and brother man, you go your way. But you don't have to, like I saw, it's a lot of little images that I have in my head. A security guard in a mall, walking behind a woman. Morning, darling. Morning. I say morning, I hear no. Soldier, you are there to protect these people, and you are harassing this woman.
Yeah.
I went straight to the mall office and talked to them about it, because it's not just all men. It is men in positions of power, which, I mean, you put on a security badge or a police officer's badge and you are in a position of power automatically. It's abuse of that power. So then go and harass these women. Just say your good morning and move on.
Okay. I ain't lying. When you make reference to the badges, that we have a problem. There's a perception that these officers tend to get a little personal with the protect and serve. These officers, there's a train of thought. There are many stories about these officers who do a little too much. You know, they want to get the contact number so that they could follow up and make sure everything okay. And you get to a point where, listen, if I'm getting unsolicited attention from the person that is responsible for protecting me, who do I then seek to protect me? If the security guard who I'm supposed to go to when someone is following me in the mall is the person who is following me in the mall,
is the person following in the mall? Imagine that.
What do I do? Okay. So, Aaron, again,
to bring back. Yeah, Aaron, let me, before I go on with my point, you're real quiet in the corner there.
I'm quiet for good reason right now. So, Franz, go ahead and make your point, because there's something else I want to bring into the equation after you state what you have to.
So we're talking about power dynamics, and we reach police officers and such. But if you think about the fact that even a longing gaze on the road can be perceived as a threat from a man to a woman, then fellas, we are threatening creatures, and we have a responsibility with that power, because we can be threats if we so wanted to. Most fellas. I mean, not to all women, but to a lot of women. And there's a responsibility that comes with the power of being a threat is to not threaten people. It's just that easy. Don't make people uncomfortable. But you are responsible for not making somebody uncomfortable. And that's a small but important point I wanted to make. Just walking down the street, you have the ability to ruin somebody's day with your very gaze. So wield that power responsibly. Don't do it.
Yeah. I want to put into context a scenario for the people who undoubtedly going to say, so I'm just now we go, can't do nothing then. I liked the satchels, the crossbody single strap bags, because you know they're a little fashionable, they're convenient for carrying things around, etc. And the other day somebody asked me if I wanted to get one, and I told them no. And I told them no because I have to be frank with you. A number of the videos that I've seen where crimes have been perpetrated in different establishments usually involve someone removing something from one of these crossbody satchels or putting whatever little money and stuff that they pilfer into these crossbody satchels. And I've gotten uncomfortable when I see young men walking towards me or walking into an environment with the crossbody satchels. I said I did not want a bag because if me seeing it makes me uncomfortable, why would I then go on to do the thing that makes me uncomfortable? Wouldn't that make other people uncomfortable as well? So I made a personal decision just based on trying to not be perceived as threatening. Is that fair to me and the choices that I want to make? They may not be, but it is also not fair that we have an entire half of the population threatened just based on the fact that we might be bigger than them.
That's all it is, You're bigger. Most men are bigger than most women. Plain talk, bad manners, that's what it is. And so we are a physical threat.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just all you have to do is not make people uncomfortable. It sounds real simple, and it is. Just don't make people uncomfortable because you have the power to make them uncomfortable. So don't do it.
And while Iran is loading, because you are full Kamehameha mode right now. While that is happening, I just want to point out, Franz, you did something that is very impressive, and I want the people to recognize it. Upon noticing that there was an injustice occurring, he didn't just shake his head and say, "Watch this man, a boy," and go about his way. You took a definitive action. You went to the mall office and you let them know that this is what is happening, and it will not fly. We have to move past the "this is not my business" aspect.
That is the other thing. Because a simple analogy is watching a faucet and a sink just running water, and people walking by and say, look at water wasting there, boy. Look at water wasting there, boy. And one person eventually walks up and turns it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could notice it and say something needs to be done, But the last 20 some odd years of my life, that somebody needs to do something has turned into I need to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
And if more people thought like that, then more things might get done.
Yeah. And we've unfortunately moved from bystander syndrome into recorder syndrome because we're less likely to right? We're less likely to intervene and more likely to document it.
They just film it.
Just film it. Yeah. But Aaron, I don't want people to feel that this is a 2-seat living room.
A love seat.
I was trying not to go down that road, but there's a whole other conversation that we may or may not ever have on air. But go on.
No, but I'm just saying that's what they call a 2-seater couch. A love seat.
That's what they are called. He is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Ricardo,
yes.
Are you uncomfortable with the word love?
No, sir. I am one who champions healthy male affection, and Franz very well knows how much I love him.
It's love.
So yes, Aaron.
It's 3 seats on this couch. So come here, Aaron.
Yeah, stop deflecting.
It's not 3 seats on the couch. They have a single seater, we have a love seat, and we also have a 3-person couch.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
So,
with respect to what we are saying here, first and foremost, there is no way, form, or fashion suiting a woman is a compliment. or catcalling or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how society deem that a compliment. Right?
Not society, men. Men deem that a compliment. Because if you tell them you shouldn't be doing that, they say, I just complimenting the girl.
Well, and clearly the bar and the standard of compliments has dropped lower than the white line on the road.
There's a reason it is called street harassment, because it is harassment.
As one. 2, it's good morning, not morning. Not morning, darling, morning, baby, morning, sugar, morning, lover, or whatever other word you want to put after morning. If you see a young lady on the road, it's good morning and keep pressing. I'm just saying, there's no need to add an adjective or a name or whatever you want to say after. Just good morning and keep pressing if you want to have manners. Because if you're passing somebody on the road and they pass the young lady and they say good morning, then the next gentleman they pass, they should say good morning as well. Because if you're having manners, be consistent in having manners. Recently, because of this, for me personally, I've adopted the mentality of when I see somebody, good morning, ma'am, or good morning, sir. It's not a matter of that person might be in a position of power or anything of sort, but to have that level of respect, it's good morning, ma'am, or good morning, sir. If you want to add something after the good morning.
Yeah.
Yes, Ricardo, I see.
No, I disagree with that.
The other night I was going for a late evening doubles.
I'm not going to say it had to be doubles he was going for, but go ahead.
So, I'm taking a little walk, and a young man on the street is approaching, and I'm looking at this guy, maybe 16 or 17 years old, coming down, and I'm thinking to myself, there was a point in time where I would not have perceived such as a threat. Look at how things have changed. And this young man walks straight, just seeing a young person on the road in the dark nowadays, you're thinking to yourself, I wonder what this encounter going to be. And you know what it was?
I was going to say you call your uncle.
It was worse. So he walking straight past and says, good night, sir, and continues walking his merry way. And I'm thinking to myself, if I look like a sir in my joggers and my vest and my baseball cap, and it warrants a sir, it means I am officially at the point in time where young people see me as not just an adult, but an authority figure. I felt like a retired school principal.
You are much more salt than pepper in that bed now, eh? I hope you realize.
Yes.
A police officer called me uncle the other day, and I felt it in my soul, boy. That's a whole long story, but I felt it in my soul. But to Aaron's point about being sorry to do that to you, Ricardo.
It's fine.
About being polite to everybody. I was running a half marathon some years ago, and we were passing by the Quasi. And so at this point, it's about 5:30 in the morning, so people coming out, because for most of the run, people weren't on the road. So now people are coming out, and there was a young lady running ahead of me. She was maybe 5-6 paces ahead of me. And all the fellas who are out on the road clapping, yes, darling, you run, girl, you run. And as soon as I walked by, all the hands went in the pocket, they crossed the chest, and they just watched me pass. I was like, but I running too? Why I can't get? So again, I mean, as much as that was encouragement, nobody that I saw harassed her. But I mean, I running too. Yeah, want to run, red man? Yeah, you go, boy. No, nothing. Okay, fellas.
Yeah. So that emphasizes that there is a distinct difference between the level of attention that we get and the level of attention that women get.
Right. So if we all things remain equal in terms of the manners and the respect, if you extend the courtesy to a female that just passed, good morning, say to the gentleman, that the next gentleman that passes. And also stop at the G in good morning. Have no good morning, baby. Have no good morning, sugar. Have no good morning, lover. And I'm saying it over to drive the point home. Now, to address the other spectrum, the other end of the spectrum in this, social media. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and well, Twitter, WhatsApp stories. I don't know of any other platforms. Right? If you are scrolling Instagram and you see a picture of an attractive young lady and you decide to like the photo, that's where it ends. That's about it. Because I can't tell you don't follow the young ladies or the women of Trinidad and Tobago. I cannot tell somebody who to follow or who not to follow. But social media is there for likes or interaction or whatever it may be. So if you see a photo and you like it, that's where it ends. There's firstly no need to screenshot that photo of that young lady and send it in the group chat with the fellas. So you all handle the physical aspect, I try to handle the social media aspect of it.
Fair enough, because it's as much a social space as any
right? There's no need to get in the comments with all the heart eyes. And the yeah, girl, you're looking good.
You know,
there's no need to slide in the DMs thereafter.
I've actually been rebelling in a certain way. When I see my brethren post the pictures and they're looking fresh, you getting your flame emojis. You getting hearts. Because you know what, bro? You're on fire, dog. You're on fire. Because...
yeah, nothing wrong with that.
At the end of the day...
So that's the thing. So now that we're having this discourse here, is it that nothing is wrong with commenting on the photos, but the comments just have to be appropriate?
I'm a huge fan of time.
No, what you describing, Aaron, with the heart eyes and the yeah girl, and I mean, that's all men just begging for attention from said lady. It is thirsty man, sad man thing. I mean, as long as, I can't even say as long as, but you could turn comments off, as far as I know, in most platforms. So you can't get away from that thirsty man nonsense. It's the same fools will shout them out on the street too.
Right. No, but that's my thing, Franz. Because for the older listeners who may not be on Instagram or on social media, just to clarify, when you post a picture, you have the option 1 to turn off commenting, 2 to turn off remixing,
which is allowing other people to use your
picture
your images and videos,
right? And 3, you could also hide your like count, right? Just for clarity's sake for the listeners who may not be as social media savvy, right? So is it that we are saying that if you, for the female, for the woman out there, post a picture, you should feel a type of way that you should have to turn off your comments to prevent the thirsty man?
Well, that's an option. I mean, the thirsty men there, we're not encouraging thirstiness, but they're there. We can't pretend that we exist in a world where they're not.
Right.
So you also, some of these social media personalities, likes and comments, engagement for them, and that is currency in their world.
Yeah.
So regardless of the appropriateness of the comment, they might welcome any and all engagement because it pushes them up. Maybe they want trying to be a brand ambassador for somebody. So these sad sacks are actually helping them on their way. Men like us will watch it and roll our eyes and shake our heads, and depending on the level of the comment, and we know somebody who's doing it, say, better than that, please, Soldier. But depending, and a big depending on the goal of the person posting the pictures, it might be for any and all attention so that it raises their social media profile.
So now the reason why I brought this into the equation to an extent is because, as you say, it depends on the profile, right? If it's somebody that may be an influencer or a brand ambassador or something like that, and the likes or whatever, it might come in. But once you see it has intent behind that post, the comment, and then following the comment is a slide into the DMs. And then that gentleman starts talking to himself there.
7 and 8 messages in a row without reply. Yeah.
Exactly. That is when.
Months, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Over the course of months, some of them sending the day after. consecutively?
No, in the social media space, we have to recognize that yes, there are people, this is the bread and butter, right? And no such thing as bad press and that type of thing. However, let us not lose sight of the fact that the same way a primary school or a secondary school girl does not warrant your attention on the road, you should not be in these young ladies' pages and profiles, etc. At the end of the day, you could put what measures in place you want to limit. But the problem stems from the fact that, one, not enough men are telling other men that this is unacceptable.
Correct.
And I want to say, as we always talk inside the living room, Ricardo, we always talk about pulling up your brethren's socks.
Mm-hmm.
And just a reminder, tomorrow is World Down Syndrome Day, to make sure and rock your socks. Anyhow, pull up your brethren's socks. And I'm going to go a step further here in this grooming and the harassment on social media and the suiting and all these different things. If you have a brethren who is married or in a committed relationship, and he's using his social media profile as a way of looking to ensure that, to see if he still had the game to get an next girl, pull up your brethren socks. Because that is the same harassment that we're talking about and that we are trying to prevent. If you see a 30-something-year-old brethren following a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds on Instagram and always want to be sending the picture to show you what party you'd have this weekend, pull up your brethren socks. It might be hard to get him to stop because you don't know who else you're doing it with that encouraging the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But at least let him know that it's a problem. Let him know that that behavior is unhealthy. Let him know that the behavior is unbecoming. Because from the article, they have a section called child abuse and grooming in the article. In 2019, the Children's Authority estimated that 23% of child abuse reports received in that year were cases of CSA, that's child sexual abuse. And in 2022, it rose to 23.9%. The age groups were 10 to 13, which accounted for 28%. 14 to 15 for 24%. And that was 2022's data. And the youngest reports were between 0 and 2 years old. I'm trying to remain politically correct today because this is the kind of thing that is annoying me. And you know, it's even the more alarming factor, which is why I brought back the online part. The authority could not confirm how much CSA occurs locally online. So the same way how when WAC is on YouTube and we see all these bots popping up in the chat box and we be disturbed by that. We don't know how much older men are creating profiles, fake profiles, to interact with younger women. Because in the article, they spoke about the fact that a man was 24, but upon further discovery, they realized the man was a 54-year-old man.
So we have a half centurion pretending to be 30 years younger so that he gains availability and access to a teenage girl. And for those who have not read the article, this is not a real person. They used artificial intelligence to generate the likeness of a 15-year-old girl. This is not an actual person. So the pictures that you would have seen on the papers, etc., is not of an actual minor. This was done as part of an investigation. I want to let everybody know that we're not violating any youngsters' rights and that type of thing. Yeah, when we post a picture, we share the article, etc.
Yeah. But and that's the thing, Ricardo. You are 54. You probably sending good morning messages in our broadcast.
Right.
No offense to those persons that do that. You are 54, right? You are doing those things, but pretending to be a 24-year-old online to and I use this term loosely, tackle a 15-year-old. What madness is this?
I want to completely agree with you and to take a page out of Franz's book. Fellas, we have a certain amount of influence on the space around us. While we cannot stop people from the things that they are going to do, we could definitely make them uncomfortable doing it around us.
Correct. As men, we have a lot more influence than we think we do on the men around us, if they are in fact our friends and they have respect for us. And I had made this point sometime before. If you, as Aaron was saying, pull up your brethren's socks and he has any manner of respect for you, he will at least think about it. And if you do it often enough, he could stop. And then you have stopped one more person from harassing a child. Because at the end of the day, this is what we're talking about, harassing children. These 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds, we politely call them young women and young ladies. They are children. And if we say it like that more often, these men should feel even worse for what they're doing. They are not young women, they are children by law. And by age, they are kids. You are tackling kids, big man.
Listen, in my teens, I was tackling a smallie. In her teens. But here the catch, right? Once you pass a certain age, there's a difference between being a teen minor and a teen adult.
So just now, so we're trying to say is that 19 and 13 are not, is not the same age bracket?
It is not the same age bracket, and it is heavily frowned upon. It's illegal,
actually.
Where it is not illegal.
19 and 13, that combination is illegal.
It's illegal. Right?
No. I know it's illegal, but what I'm asking is because remember, we're looking at this from the point of the article, right? So a 19-year-old sliding into the DMs of a 13-year-old is also wrong.
Gross and grossly inappropriate.
I just stating here. No, guys, we are getting
one is still an adult and one is still very much a child.
Yeah.
Right. So we are getting perilously close to the hour of 7 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but I'm glad to know you're locked on to the True Nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
And we're not just culture crazy. We are also crazy about the safety of the woman in our society. Right? We have had numerous discussions on topics like these before, Ricardo. We have had numerous rants where we wiped our feet. Yes, feet, not foot. Because last week we had hot foot harmony.
Yeah, correct, that's right.
Right? But we wiped our feet on things like this. We continue to do our part to have these sometimes serious conversations on serious topics, despite the fact that we stress it's casual conversations. Fellas, my brethren, my fellow man of the world, it is our duty to protect the women and children of our society. If we can't do that, our society will continue to fail. And when I say protect, I'm not just talking about protecting and going out into the field of battle, like the war that's going on in Ukraine for however long that we just can't really see the end of. But from the home, we need to protect our women and our children. And protecting them is giving them a safe space for them to feel comfortable to walk the streets. A place where they don't feel threatened by our presence, threatened by our words. That is what I have to say. It's not just about going out there and fighting the battle and making sure that the woman person gets snatched. It's not just that.
Yeah.
A woman, lastly, on Twitter over the past week, because I really like my Twitter. On Twitter, they had a trending topic on popular opinions Trinidad version. And a woman posted that despite it being our culture, I don't want nobody whine on me. And she was, to an extent, dragged for that. If a woman does not whine in you in a fet, fellas, it's okay, move along. There's no need to tap on the shoulder and say, where's that one? No. That's her choice.
That's a whole other topic. Is physical autonomy. Brethren, if she don't want to dance with you, that's it. But yeah, I mean, you know, it should go without saying, right? But no, she's not on you. Move on.
But you had to say it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. I just want to acknowledge that, fellas, while we are not responsible for the decisions that other men make, we are responsible for the spaces that they make them in. You are way less likely to be able to stop a purse snatcher in action than you are to be able to tell your WhatsApp group, yeah, fellas, I feel like good there, you know, because you see, while you're posting, I not on that. Or, fellas, that girl looking like about 18, 19 years old, oh, yeah, she legal, but you in your 40s. That girl could be in your daughter class. What I'm saying is, we are responsible because what we permit persists. What we allow will continue. And if you are in a social space where you are afraid to let them know that you're uncomfortable with what they're doing because it violates your ethics, it violates your moral, it violates your code, well, then you have to take a proper look at the space that you're in. At the end of the day, I much rather my brethren them vex with me for doing the right thing than I vex with myself for allowing the wrong thing to continue. That's just how I roll it. Plain talk, bad manners, call me what you want. If I realize a certain type of thing going on in our WhatsApp group and I want no part of it, fellas, they say cutting it, you know. And if it continues, I go on. Because I have a responsibility for the spaces that I am in. So what I'm saying is, you want to be a hero? Start small. Start where you're at.
Start small. Correct.
Right? On that note, Franz, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for always starting that fire, brother. For always stoking that conversation.
Well, just to follow on from the same points that you and Aaron just made about being a protector and being a hero and starting small. And it's as simple as making women, children feel safe in the spaces that we all occupy. That's where you could start. Just don't make them feel threatened. And you are a hero already. If you are one less man harassing them on the street, you have added substantially to their day. Just so be that hero. Be the guy that makes them see the good in guys. How about that? Just be a hero. Leave them alone.
Drink your water. Mind your business. Leave them alone.
Tell them good morning and go your way.
Fellas, this is Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage on the local/vocal/global stage. Reminding you guys that the hourglass. I'll go in global. Reminding you guys that the.
That's over.
Sorry, Kenny. This is Ricardo Mitchell, the social sage on the global stage. Thanking you guys for joining us in the living room. Remember, guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Franz, thanks for joining us, and I'm gonna kick it over to Aaron.
Franz, thank you. You'll tell me after where you get that painting. I find it a little nice.
That's actually me.
Oh, yeah, I can't do that. Sorry. Okay, cool. And I will not put a painting of you in my office. I won't do that.
Well, I wanted to thank Ricardo for also having a picture of himself up behind his head because I was feeling a little narcissistic with this behind me. But Ricardo, you make me feel comfortable. I appreciate you. Yeah, you're sticking, bro. Get something behind your head.
Listen, sometimes you gotta be the hero in the way that you can, you know.
You see, you made me feel comfortable. Thank you, sir.
Right. I wanna big up Cara Gill for the lovely artwork. And it's art appreciation. It's not narcissism, it's art appreciation.
Shouts to Ryan Rampere for the picture and John Jordan who took it. You know, it's yeah, big up yourself, fellas.
Yeah. So Aaron,
gentlemen, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me as usual.
Shouts to Rahamats for my lovely blind. Thank you very much, Franz. This is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I always remind you that culture is my code. All right. I also tell you that love is the currency, so spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them, guys. Up next is Mr. Desmond with the big band, and also Ricardo. I will let that Kenny comment slide until next week.
All I want from you, Franz, is for you to close off with the 3 best words in the living room. First man.
What is Franz?